There are things we can and should do. Things like counting mail ballots earlier, things that were blocked in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and elsewhere that would have staved off some of the lasting after-election effects. But mostly, what we need to work on is us, right? Our own resistance and resilience in the face of misinformation, and our own ability to discount what we hear when it's just not accurate.
That is election law expert Justin Levitt. Thank you.
Of course.
Almost 3 months ago, a wildfire destroyed most of a farming town in Washington state. Malden, Washington, is still waiting for the Trump administration to respond to the state's disaster declaration request. NPR's Kirk Siegler reports that many of the town's mostly lower-income residents have had to rely on donations while they wait.
When historic wildfires overwhelmed the West Coast in September, the governors of California, Oregon, and Washington followed standard protocol and asked President Trump to declare a major disaster. That frees up millions in federal aid for everything from temporary housing to cleanup to rebuilding infrastructure. After some politicking and tweeting, these are blue states after all, California and Oregon's major disaster declarations were mostly quickly approved.
Oregon heard 9 days after their fire, and their fire was on the same day as ours, September 7th, 2020.
Scott Hokanson says it's been 71 days since Washington asked the president for its disaster declaration. On Labor Day, a wind-driven range fire destroyed approximately 80% of homes in Malden, Washington, including Hokanson's. He's on the town council and is trying to lead its recovery task force. The fires were worse overall in California and Oregon. Thankfully, nobody died in Malden, but most of its some 300 residents were uninsured and already living on the economic margins.
But to see on the news reports that the FEMA trailers are rolling in to help some people when we're in exactly the same condition, it just makes you wonder, even in the best of times, where are we at? Did we get forgotten?
So fire survivors are left only to speculate. Is this politics, bureaucracy, just incompetence? In a brief email, a FEMA spokesperson told NPR only that the administration is still reviewing Washington's request. Waiting this long and not even getting denied aid is extremely unusual.
Yeah, I've never heard of this happening before.
Carolyn Kuski runs the Wharton Risk Center at the University of Pennsylvania.
Delays create a lot of extra costs for families, for the community, and the longer it takes, the more those costs can ripple and create problems.
Problems like delays in getting people into basic temporary housing or just cleaning up the town. And the longer Malden is in limbo, Kuski says, the harder it gets to try to rebuild smarter and more resilient against the next seemingly inevitable wildfire. This is what Scott Hokanson, the town councilman, has been trying to push, even with so many people, including himself, in crisis right now.
We are hampered in how much we can move forward, in which direction we can go, until we hear from FEMA.
Hokanson says the mayor recently resigned, so did the city clerk, and there are real worries Malden won't rebuild and may empty out. He's trying to stay upbeat.
And I chuckle because it's gotten to the point where it's not funny that way. It's just you have to laugh or else you'll cry.
Kirk Siegler, NPR News.
This is NPR News. This is 90.9 WBUR. Clouds from today let loose with showers late tonight, lows about 42. Showers spending the holiday. Some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon should make it to the mid-50s. 46 degrees now in Boston at 5:30. The great poet Mary Oliver once wrote, "To pay attention, that is our good and proper work." I'm Chloe Axelson.
And I'm Franny Kartoff. We're the editors of WBUR's Ideas and Opinion page. Paying attention is the essence of our work, and it's not always easy.
This year, we covered the impeachment trial. We followed the story of hundreds of migrant children who may never be reunited with their parents.
We watched as outbreaks of the coronavirus raged through nursing homes and prisons. We covered a historic election that broke every norm.
And now, as we enter the next phase of the pandemic, a time that public health experts say could be the most difficult yet, we'll be right here with you.
Mary Oliver also wrote, "Keep some room in your heart for the unimaginable." And that's just what we intend to do.
But we can't do it without you. We need your support, especially now. Please give at WBUR.org. Thank you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Dwayne Brown. President Trump continues to sow doubt after losing the election to Democrat Joe Biden. Speaking by phone to a group of Pennsylvania Republicans today, Trump refused to concede, citing false claims of voter fraud.
It's very interesting to see what's going on, and this was an election that we won easily. We won it by a lot. Big energy.
The truth is, Trump lost to Biden by about 80,000 votes in Pennsylvania, and the state finally certified the winner on Tuesday. Trump continues to spread falsehoods even as the formal transition of power has begun, and a growing number of Republicans are recognizing Biden as the president-elect. Meanwhile, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn becomes the second Trump associate convicted in the Russia probe to be granted clemency. The owners of Purdue Pharma are admitting no wrongdoing as part of the company's guilty plea on criminal charges related to the nation's opioid crisis. As NPR's Brian Mann tells us, new documents show the Sackler family played a hands-on role at the company.
Purdue Pharma acknowledged in a settlement with the Justice Department that the firm ran a decade-long criminal enterprise designed to boost opioid sales and profits despite the growing number of overdose deaths. Newly public documents show members of the Sackler family appearing to make key decisions during years when the misconduct occurred. The DOJ also says the family used fraudulent measures to shelter billions of dollars when threatened by opioid lawsuits. But in this federal plea deal, members of the family face no criminal charges, and they keep most of their wealth. In a statement, the Sacklers said they've run their company ethically and did nothing wrong. Brian Mann, NPR News.
Stocks finished mixed on Wall Street as banks, communications, and healthcare companies lost some steam, while the price of crude oil rose about 1%. The Dow lost 173 points, about 0.5%. This is NPR.
This is 90.9 WBUR in Boston.